The wicked bitch of Montecito strikes again. And there really is no other way to describe the behaviour of Meghan Markle towards her father having just had his leg amputated. Look, I knew it was going to be bad. We all knew that this so-called letter exchange wasn't going to be a peace offering because we've come to learn what Meghan Markle is about. But the fact that she sent this letter while her dad was nearly dying in a hospital in Cebu in the Philippines, not to offer him a message of hope, not to pray for his survival, but to berate him, to lecture him, to abuse him, in part because one of the only people who has stood by him is a journalist for the Daily Mail. Well, it is a disgusting new low. And genuinely, my heart breaks for Thomas Markle. I think of that moment when he opened the envelope and he had to agree to a cameraman being in the room because that's what Meghan and Prince Harry demanded. And he opens that envelope praying that there's going to be some type of U-turn, praying that he'll get to see Meghan again, praying that he'll get to see his grandchildren for the first time. And she attacks him. A man who's struggling with the concept of looking down and no longer having his left leg. And then, because of course she expected him to leak the letter, and he didn't, and the Mail on Sunday didn't publish a word from it, she goes to the Sunday Times and Roy Anika and announces to the world that she has no plans to see her father ever again. I mean, the moral depravity of this woman. You can't make this up. Seriously, have we seen a worse human being operating in the royal world since Wallace Simpson? The Nazi sympathizer? I honestly do not know. I think not. And this is how Roy Anika reported the briefing via Meghan Markle. Writing, the Duchess of Sussex has no plans to see her father, who is recovering in hospital from a leg amputation, and has given up hope of ever reconciling with him. On Wednesday, Meghan reached out to the 81-year-old with a letter hand-delivered to him in a hospital in the Philippines, where he now lives. She has not attempted to ring him at the hospital, fearing a phone call could be overheard. It is understood Meghan's letter set out her feelings regarding her father's decision to give several interviews to the media about their relationship. Okay, I've got to step in there. Are you joking, Meghan? Are you fucking joking? He has only spoken out when you have briefed to the media what a terrible human being he is, including to People magazine. You spoke about him to Oprah Winfrey. You spoke about him to Netflix, all making money in the process. He hasn't taken the money. This is twisted. But do you seriously think in the days after his leg has been amputated after silence for 7 years, this is the moment to raise it? You are twisted. Roy Anika went on, Meghan is thought to believe his collusion with the media has been a major factor in the breakdown of their relationship and a key reason for why they are unlikely to ever reconcile. She has not received a reply to her letter nor had any contact from her father since its delivery. The Duchess is said to hope the letter to her father remains private. After learning of his surgery on December the 3rd, she emailed him, but he is not thought to have seen the message at the time. Okay, then we come to the other side of this. And Samantha Markle is understandably furious, utterly furious. She posted in response to Meghan's briefing, nasty, fake, paid PR designed to falsely lift up those who are corrupt and who pay for it while disparaging anyone who challenges those corrupt individuals who pay for PR should be illegal. It's a nasty fucking game and shame on the scumbags who play it. I hope it all backfires. Oh, that's fucking bullshit. She and Harry spilled more tea and interviews, paid PR, books than anyone. Shut the hell up already with this bullshit fake paid PR. You are ridiculous. Shame on you. And to all those loser PR outlets who kept trying to say that my dad didn't get to go to the wedding because he staged photos. First of all, he was set up. Secondly, Harry and Meg have staged more shit paid for, more disparaging articles and leaked family information, including private information of the royals in their books, their interviews, and their paid PR than historically imaginable. Why are we surprised? These are people who walk on cemeteries of fallen war heroes with fashion photographers in tow. What a couple of hypocritical pieces of work they are. When you're that evil, no PR is going to cover your horns and your pitchfork tail. Does my humble opinion matter, or is your PR trying to strip you of all your money because maybe they have a price tag too and someone else is paying them better than you did to sabotage you and strings are being pulled behind closed doors? All of this could bite you in the ass. What tangled webs you weave. Never assume anything. Sam isn't holding back. And I understand, because she's devastated for her father. And by the way, Samantha has been really reasonable. Despite the fact she despises what Meghan has done, she understood that it would mean a lot for her father if Meghan spoke to him or there was some type of reconciliation. She wasn't standing in the way. And neither, by the way, was Caroline Graham, the reporter for the Mail on Sunday newspaper who remains by Thomas's hospital bed in Cebu in the Philippines, who acknowledges Thomas now not just as one of her best friends, but also as a father figure. But in a truly emotional piece for this weekend's newspaper, said that she would be prepared for Thomas to choose Meghan over her if it meant that there was able to be some type of reconciliation. So she wrote in some detail about her tears with Meghan's dad, and I'm going to reveal what she said now. Caroline Graham wrote, "Tom is 81 and has been in increasingly poor health for years. He's one of my closest friends. My decision to rush to the Philippines would backfire on me spectacularly last week when the full wrath of the Sussex's powerful PR team was aimed at me. Last week, Meghan's PR machine accused me of breaching ethical boundaries by being by his bedside and reporting on him having his left leg amputated below the knee. I feel it is important to set the record straight. I've only ever written stories with Tom's express permission, and he told me he wanted to give an interview to the Mail on Sunday as he sought control of the narrative around his amputation. He's been burned by a lot of people on the internet making up stories. He also wanted to reach out one last time to Meghan. He is making good progress, but is far from being out of the woods. He said, I don't know if she realizes how sick I am and that I might die. I want to do a story because I'm sure there is all sorts of made-up shit on the internet. After last Sunday's story came out, I received a flurry of messages from one of her PR team. I found the tone unnecessarily aggressive and was so concerned, I told him I would prefer that he dealt with my editor and the paper's legal team. I had other things to worry about, like looking after Tom, whose life was hanging in the balance. Now, after she thought Tom was through the worst, he was baffled. After Meghan had put out there that she'd been in touch, that she'd reached out, he said, how can Meghan say she doesn't have my number? It's the same one I've had for 20 years. She and Doria called it all the time. Her father and I had discussed many times what would happen if she did reach out to him. And this is Caroline Graham talking here. I have always said I would walk away from our friendship if it meant he could reconcile with her. Painful as that would be, and we both had tears in our eyes as we discussed it again last week, it would be impossible for him to reconcile with her while having a friend in the media, particularly one in the British press, for which Prince Harry has repeatedly expressed his hatred. When the Sussex's spokesman reached out to me, I wanted to do everything within my power to assist him. Tom did not have his phone in the intensive care unit. Thomas Jr., that's His son, Meghan's half-brother, was told hospital policy forbids them in the ICU, so he had taken his dad's phone home. But the following day, Monday of last week, I arrived at the hospital to find Tom had been moved into a regular ward. I texted Thomas Jr., who said, "Should I bring dad's phone?" To which I immediately replied, yes. The first thing I did was to send a message to Meghan's spokesman after first checking with Tom that was okay. I gave Tom's phone number, the hospital name, and even his room number, but no one called, and at the time of publication still hasn't. The last few days has been heartbreaking for Tom. He has lost a limb, and while he has been brave and made remarkable progress, I watched in awe last week as he started physiotherapy to build up his muscles, he is still processing the enormity of what has happened. And all the while, he has been waiting for Meghan to call. For 2 days, he had his phone plugged in by his bedside. He kept asking me to check it just in case he'd missed something while he slept. I made it clear that if she called while I was there, I would immediately leave the room. He is a proud man and a very brave one. It was a sad sight to see. And then, folks, things get really weird and really twisted. Caroline Graham reports, on Wednesday, Tom was in the middle of a physiotherapy session when the president of the hospital walked into the room with her lawyer with no warning. I covered his amputated leg with a sheet to preserve his dignity. He was asked to sign yet another legal document to confirm that he was about to receive a letter from his daughter and that the letter was sealed and personally handed to him. The lawyer said the handover would be videoed so that the video could be sent to Meghan. The whole thing felt surreal. I offered to leave the room. Tom asked me to stay. Once the handover was complete and duly taped for the Sussexes, he and I sat staring at each other. The letter in its glaringly white envelope lay on his hospital bed. Tom was physically trembling at the sight of the letter, so I asked Tom whether I should move it. I placed it out of his sight next to his uneaten lunch. For 4 hours, he fretted about opening the envelope. He was scared it might contain bad news. He eventually opened it, reading and rereading it several times. He shared nothing about the contents. I asked no questions. I told him what I've told him so many times before. I hope this letter might start the reconciliation he longs for. Tom asked me not to tell anyone he had received the letter. I swore secrecy and told no one. But when I got back to my hotel room hours later and turned on my phone, it blew up with messages from friends and other journalists saying the Sussexes had released the fact that Meghan's letter was safely in his hands and had laid into me. Truly extraordinary. Brittany is editor of the Royal News Network. She joins me now. So, Brittany, not only did Thomas not share the contents of the letter with the world, he did not even share the contents of the letter with his best friend, Caroline Graham from the Mail, who was there. But Meghan decided to brief to Roy Anika in the Sunday Times that she had berated her father, that their relationship is at an end, that she will not see him again. He's just lost his leg, Brittany. Where is the humanity? Indeed, you know what would have been most humane? To have said nothing, to have done nothing, to have sent nothing. Because to send abuse, I just think it's twisted, Brittany. It is the lowest of the low.
It's just heartless, Dan. Meghan Markle in this entire story comes across as heartless and hypocritical because you're right. She didn't have to do anything. She is only doing this because she was getting media pressure to address the issues with her father. And so her answer to that is to utilize, I would argue, taxpayer dollars from the United States to have embassy employees go and run errands for her so they can deliver a letter so she can berate him one last time, perhaps before he dies. Like that is Meghan Markle in a nutshell. And her whole reasoning that he's talking to the media, has relations with the media, it doesn't work. It doesn't even make sense because Meghan, we know, talks to the media, has relations in the media. The first thing she does is run to the Times of London when he doesn't share the contents of the letter so she can share the contents of the letter, just like she did. What was it, 5 or so years ago with the People magazine
Yeah.
article where
And
she
there's
went?
Harry with Bryony
Yep,
Gordon, a
exactly. She considers him a
journalist,
great
a
friend.
friend.
I don't think he thinks of her as a friend, but she thinks of him as a friend. It's so unbelievably hypocritical. And Meghan has no leg to stand on here, which I think makes her look more heartless, more callous, more cruel, because she is punishing him for doing the exact same thing she does. And that just reveals to you the true character of Meghan Markle. And I'm saying, yeah, her family probably perhaps is messy, 100%. It's not like she wants it or what have you, but they're still family. And how you treat family reveals a lot about your character. And I think we can basically accept the fact that Meghan has a very, very poor character and is completely and utterly willing to throw not only her friends under the bus, but her own family under the bus. And Harry, if he's not aware that Meghan will do the exact same thing to him, and perhaps the exact same thing to their children if they cross her, if they do the things that she doesn't like, he's in for a rude awakening because this will happen to him.
Oh, God, yeah. And I mean, just imagine being married to someone who is that heartless about
Mhm.
their father. But I guess her father, but I guess Harry feels so much hatred towards Thomas because of his ongoing relations with the male. It's just totally bizarre. And actually, when you listen to Caroline Graham's account of their relationship, something that Brittany on the surface might look a bit weird, actually, they have formed a genuine bond. It happens every now and then in journalism, and it's actually quite lovely to watch. And it's great that she could be there when Samantha Markle couldn't travel because of her health condition. At the same time, Brittany, what do you make of the fact that Meghan demanded that the letter handover be filmed? Because can we really trust that one day, Brittany, she won't use that video footage for commercial purposes? And it does feel like, what right does she have to see Thomas if he doesn't have the right to see her, to speak to her? Yet again, it was so one-sided, and I believe she used her power in that situation, Brittany, in a nefarious manner.
She did. And it's just so incredibly bizarre, but it reveals again so much about Meghan. Everything has to be done on her terms in her way. And again, I don't know why the US embassy is going along with this nonsense and making people run these errands for her. It's absolutely insane to me that my taxpayer dollars were potentially wasted on this nonsense. But she could have had an employee fly out and give him the letter. And then she had to do was like talk to this employee. The weird thing of Meghan wanting this strange paper trail, because again, not only do we have the handwritten letter she wrote to him, what was it, 5 7 years ago, we have now another handwritten letter, now we have a video. She wants all this evidence, I think, built up. You could argue against him, or to, like you said, to use in the future. Who knows how she's going to use this? She might use this in some sort of sob story in her own documentary in a couple of years, because the only thing that sells for Meghan and Harry is the toxic family dynamic that they've created for themselves. That's the only thing that they can sell. And so that she's utilizing this to sort of like verify that he got it. It's just bizarre that she wants this weird paper trail, because honestly, the best thing to do sometimes is just to talk to somebody over the phone, because usually, unless somebody records it, there's no evidence. And let's be clear here as well. Who is the person who always wants evidence that she can utilize at a later date? It's always Meghan. Who knows what Meghan has from her time in the royal family that she's holding on to use against the royals someday. I think Meghan is. Meghan is always looking for leverage over other people. She always wants power over them, and she definitely always wants control. And this entire situation makes that just abundantly clear.
Brittany, the other huge royal news over the weekend, no further action against Andrew Mountbatten Windsor by the Metropolitan Police. This was in regards to all of those claims earlier this year that he had somehow abused his position by using his Metropolitan Protection Offices to research Virginia Giuffre. Now, the Giuffre family, furious about this, Brittany, but you're very skeptical about the motives of this family, as am I.
I am. I got this sense when obviously when it came to Andrew getting his title stripped that they were saying that this is Virginia doing this. This is her getting her, you could say, victory and justice over Andrew. And that just put a really bad taste in my mouth because that's not really what this is about. And unfortunately, at this point, there's not really justice you could say that could be done for Virginia in a legal sense. In some ways, the statute of limitations are up. And in this instance, and a lot of instances, there's just simply no case. There is no case. And the Metropolitan Police don't owe Virginia's family anything. They are not required to like run a press release by the family. That's just ridiculous. And if there's no evidence, there's no case. It's just as simple as that. If the family had evidence, why didn't they give it to the Metropolitan Police? Why was it the police's problem that the family didn't have evidence? I don't understand, but sometimes there just isn't a case, and that's just what it is. This is not about justice. They keep talking about justice for Virginia. Where was the justice when she was being held by Epstein? Like, where was that? It's only now that perhaps there's a big pot of change that they're after, that maybe they are more interested in the angle of justice. But this is a mess. But Andrew, he's been cleared, and that is the case, and that appears to be what's going forwards. Obviously, he still could have done some of the things he shouldn't have done, but there isn't a case here.
Yeah, I think the family's argument, Brittany, is that they were only emailed by the Metropolitan Police just a day before Andrew was cleared. So they were asked on Friday to ask if they had any evidence that they wanted to present, and then the force had issued a statement by 2:03 p.m. on Saturday, which does feel weird. Like, surely you'd want to get the evidence from the Giuffre family, if they have any, before making that decision.
Well, you do have to argue as well, though. The Giuffre family knew they were investigating. Why wouldn't they reach out and go, "We have this whole pile of evidence right here. Let me get
100%. If
let
they
me
had
give it to
anything,
you."
they surely would have given it
Exactly.
up.
I think the Met knew they didn't have anything.
Okay, a lovely palate cleanse, Brittany, because we've dealt with some of the terrible members of the royal family. Isn't this amazing? Lady Louise, the daughter of Prince Edward, and Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, traveling on a train in the United Kingdom, and she sits on the floor. Brittany, she sits on the floor. I mean, anyone who knows the United Kingdom train services will know this is a relatively regular occurrence, right? But you can't imagine Beatrice or Eugenie doing that. You certainly can't imagine Harry or Meghan doing that. And there's something lovely about this family, isn't there?
There is. And I think they did the right thing by not giving their children royal titles. They just did Lady Louise, and then we have the Earl of Wessex now. And so I think that was a very smart move on their behalf. I think that worked out extremely well. And they gave their children, I think, a relatively normal upbringing. Yes, they are part of royal family. Yes, they have all these, let's say, accoutrements attached to that. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, you take a train, and I've taken trains in the UK, and sometimes, yeah, there are no seats, and you kind of have to sit on the floor or stand over to the side or whatever, and you have to figure it out. And so she comes across as incredibly normal here, and I think that's just such a great thing to see in the midst of all this, you could say, some in aspects royal arrogance and privilege and these sorts of things, that she is just like the average commuter. I think that's a fantastic thing for people to see. And yes, I'm sure just a commuter took the picture, but she's not courting attention either. She's doing exactly what the child of a spare should do. And that's 100%. Sophie and Edward deserve praise for that.
Big time. Now, look, it's actually all kicked off with King Charles and Prince Harry over the weekend too. Obviously, slightly distracted by the drama between Meghan and Thomas Markle, but this is major as well, Brittany. So what we'll do is move over to Substack to continue the Royal Uncancelled after show. And
hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're diving into something truly special: the power of mottos and the incredible inner strength they can unlock within us. We all have those guiding principles, Those quiet whispers of wisdom that shape our journey, especially when life throws its curveballs. Think about a time you felt a flicker of doubt, a moment where the path ahead seemed uncertain. It's in those very moments that a well-chosen motto can act as your anchor, a beacon of unwavering belief. It's not about grand pronouncements, but about the simple, profound truths that resonate deep within your soul. For some, it might be the quiet determination of keep going, one step at a time. For others, it's the empowering reminder, I am capable of more than I know. These aren't just words. They are affirmations, blueprints for resilience. They remind us that our inner strength isn't something we find, but something we cultivate. Confidence, that beautiful, elusive quality, often blossoms from this inner wellspring. When we truly believe in our ability to navigate challenges, to learn from setbacks, and to emerge stronger, our confidence naturally grows. It's a beautiful, self-perpetuating cycle. Your motto becomes the fuel for that belief. Consider the stories of individuals who have faced immense adversity. What often sets them apart is not the absence of fear, but the presence of a guiding principle that allowed them to push through. They didn't let circumstances define them. They let their inner compass lead the way. Your motto is your personal declaration of intent. It's a commitment to yourself, a promise to tap into that inherent power you possess. It's about recognizing that even when the external world feels chaotic, your inner world can be a sanctuary of strength and self-assurance. So, I encourage you to reflect on your own guiding principles. What are the words that lift you up when you're feeling low? What are the phrases that remind you of your resilience and your potential? Embracing these mottos isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent, about trusting in your own capacity to grow and to thrive. Remember, the strength you seek is already within you. Your mottos are simply the keys that help you unlock it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I truly hope this has inspired you to connect with your own inner strength. If you found this helpful, please consider following for more conversations like this. Until next time, keep shining.